Tonight on the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror, investigating this suspicious death is proving to be more difficult than usual. That's because everyone this detective is trying to interview ends up being murdered. Tonight's movie, My Dear Killer.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror. The Cuts, Guts, and Sluts edition. Yes. Tonight we continue on the Giallo-thon. That is the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror. I mean, it's either that or slashers. It's a slasher-thon or a Giallo-thon. It's both. Yeah, maybe I gotta start getting some more supernatural shit going on. I don't know. Anyways, but tonight we are going to review a Giallo movie from a director who is known for his spaghetti westerns. And this is his first and only foray into the Giallo territory. And that movie is My Dear Killer. Yes, and what you are seeing here is the Forgotten Gialli Volume 2 from my friends at Vinegar Syndrome. Forgotten Gialli Volume 1 is over there, as well as Volume 3 and 4. And very nice. 3 movies. And there we go, My Dear Killer. So, what is My Dear Killer about? Well, when an insurance investigator loses his head and is found near a excavation site. The lead detective investigating his death quickly becomes embroiled in an old case of a kidnapped and murdered girl whose their family's attempt to pay the ransom went horribly wrong and ended up with the patriarch of the family dying as well. He gets embroiled in this old, cold case and finds that there is a plethora of shady people in this family. All may or may not have quite the reasonings and motives to be involved in not only the case with the girl, but also maybe to shut up the insurance investigator. And of course, because a new investigation has occurred, someone is starting to eliminate people who may know things that the murderer do not want to come to light. So, let's get to those scores, shall we? Violence and gore, I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5, and honestly, most of it is because of you're seeing it right here, the infamous saw scene, which is bloody and kind of like, oh god, oh wow. I mean, it's not like super gore. I mean, I'm only giving it a 2 out of 5, but it's definitely the highlight of the movie when it comes to the kills. And the other ones are quite mundane and not very brutal or bloody. But this one is definitely splatter-soaked. Poor teacher. Anyways, 2 out of 5. Shock value, I'm going to give it a 1 out of 5. It's more, once again, especially with Giallos, it's more about the suspense. And it definitely does give you suspenseful feelings and feelings of unease and tension, especially when certain victims are about to get murked. But when it comes to like shocking moments, there's honestly like maybe only 2 things. The shock reveal, yes, and then there's a moment where you're just like, wait, what? And I know what they're doing, and I'll get into that later, but yeah, 1 out of 5. Plot, I am going to give this one a 3 out of 5. It is a well-crafted mystery with lots of twists and turns, a lot of fingers pointing, and you really don't know who it is at the end. And the reveal is quite, like I said, has a little bit of a shock to it. However, when viewing it again, you do realize that the killer, the person doing the killing in the movie, the person that is actually doing the killing in the movie that you see doing the stuff could not possibly be the person at the end that they reveal because of certain things that I won't get into because it would be spoilerish, but because of that, it does feel cheap, and honestly, it is a bit convoluted, and there are moments where we're sort of just kind of going through a whole bunch of what feels like maybe some minutia when it comes to the detective work, and it does get a little tedious because of that. So I'm giving it 3 out of 5. Normally, it would have been higher, but because of the second viewing and knowing what I know and realizing that, they kind of did it cheaply so that you couldn't really, they could have shot it a different way to really hide the fact that it's not the same person, to make it, more, I would say, the continuity be correct and not be impossible. I'm just saying, because of that, it did sort of take me out of it. But luckily, the initial viewing, though, I was really, really impressed by the plot. But yes, secondary, looking back at it, it does have some problems. So 3 out of 5. Moving on to acting. Acting, I'm going to give a 4 out of 5. I greatly enjoyed the acting in this movie, especially the lead detective. He is great, but the supporting cast is very solid. And honestly, outside of a few problem performances, I think it's super solid and very good. So 4 out of 5 for that. Moving on to Nudity. And this is a 2 out of 5. There are a few scenes, though, brief, but we do get a nice view of some lovely ladies' assets, especially this one teacher. He's got some nice assets, plus the beautiful girlfriend or wife, or I'm not sure, probably wife of the lead detective. Magnifique. But there's also a scene, and this is where, and this doesn't factor into the score at all. But there's also a scene, and this is where we come back to the shock factor. So the whole plot of the movie is definitely trying to throw shade on as many characters as possible to give them motive to do what they were doing, or to have the killer do what he was doing, or she. And so there's a scene where this kind of older guy who's an artiste, he's talking with a detective, and this young girl comes in, and she's totally naked for a second or whatever. And he's like, no, it's not time. And then it sees her turn around and go back. So anyways, I know the point of that whole scene was to try to wait, is he is he a pedophile? Is he doodling with little girls? Because then it's maybe that's why he kidnapped the daughter or something like that. It throws that suspicion. Now, there are other ways to make that implication, but this was shot in a different time in a different country where standards are definitely different than they are today. But I wanted to tell you this just in case you're sensitive to that type of thing. So that way, you're prepared for it, or you can skip the movie entirely because of it. I mean, it's your choice. I think I do the same thing when I'm talking about jungle holocaust and animal cruelty, as well as cannibal holocaust and animal cruelty. And there's other things in jungle holocaust too, like the, yeah. Anyways, so I just thought I had to put that out there. Okay. So moving on to enjoyment factor, I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 5. Once again, the plot issues and the knowing what I know and seeing what happens definitely detracted from it. But like, go in with like a clean mind, clean slate. It's still very enjoyable, even after knowing what I know. Watching it unfold, it's a nice story, great twists. That's the Saw scene is awesome, and yeah, very solid acting performances around. So I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5, and my overall impression is going to be a 3.5 out of 5, because overall, it is a very well put together movie that, yes, does a cheap thing, but that's a personal thing. And movies will do it. And then you will go back and go, hey, wait a second. That can't be the same person because X, Y, and Z. But, perhaps it's one of those things where they don't, shooting it and trying to cover that stuff up may make the movie much more difficult, or will give it away completely. So yes, it's a purposeful obfuscation. Sorry, and so I'm not going to beat it over the head as much anymore. I'm done with that. I just needed to say it in the review. Because it is what it is, and someone else will go, well, you know what? I watched it twice, and yes, that is kind of ridiculous. Where it's not horrible and it's not a deal breaker, but it's something that I do have to say. Because I don't think I would be doing my job, even though this isn't a job. But whatever. Anyways, 3.5 out of 5 overall impression, and yeah, I know I wish the other kills were more spectacular and gory, but, the Saw thing was pretty cool. Anyways, that averages out to a solid 2.6 out of 5. So there you have it, my dear killer. The Driller Killer. No, I'm just kidding. That was another movie, and I reviewed that. But anyways, maybe I'll do the other ones, or wait for another time. Anyways, we'll find out in the future. But until then, be sure to rate, comment, subscribe, leave a like, whatever. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching another episode of the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror. And remember to always stay scary, internet. And also, oh man, when you're gonna have like heavy machinery to do some excavations and whatever, searching and dredging and whatnot, and you're going to be like out there directing it and kind of in the danger zone, make sure that the person you hired to operate that machinery is actually the person you hired to operate the machinery, and maybe not someone who perhaps was involved in a case that you're actually working on right now and would have lots of motive to just, accidentally just your head off. I'm just saying, just safety first, people. Plus, I don't think he was wearing a hard hat. He was not wearing a hard hat. You gotta wear those hard hats, guys. I mean, really, safety regulations exist for a reason. Anyways,